Well, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, I'm back, man. I had to take a little bit of a break, man. I got so much going on, and you know, guys, sometimes I have to take that break from myself. But I got another video. Good video. The CVO. I just want to have this conversation with you guys. I'm gonna give you guys my opinion. If you feel like, you know, I'm right, if you feel like I'm wrong, drop it down in the comment section. But guys, first and foremost, a new redesign in the middle of the year. It was probably already done, yes, of course, but you're announcing it, Harley, at the middle of the year, and I'm gonna give you my opinion on why. So Harley has come out with something that kind of like engulfs the racing scene. Guys, this bike, I'm gonna be honest with you, it looks like it's purely sought after for the guy who wants to now make horsepower, for the guy who is a little bit into the aftermarket, and just judging off everything that they did, they really took a page out of the book of Indian. I just said it, man. It kind of looks like an Indian. A lot of the new upgrades are kind of comparable with the Indian, and on top of that, we got the Bagger Racer series. So, well, you know, Indian's in there. Indian's one of the is a competitor here. My thing about it is I've been preaching performance bagger, but I got nowhere. I mean, we got a few guys that start saying, yeah, you know what, you might be right about this thing, but other than that, I got a lot of the older crowd that was like totally against it. You don't need horsepower like that. You'll never use that type of horsepower. That's not what these bikes are made for, but yet the whole aftermarket pushes you towards horsepower and comfort. And be honest with you, class, look nice, look good. Harley's always been pushing that. Harley is one of those brands that follow their consumer. If the consumer says, hey, this is what I don't like about the bike, Harley usually fixes it within a year or two. If you've had engine problems, Harley was right on it in a year or two. But we got a new redesign, a new revamp, and I personally, the Road Glide, the Street Glide, badass. They look. If I was in the market for another bike, I'd be right there with it. On top of that, guys, if you look at it, you got to understand that the Special is going to come out next year, and the Standard is going to come out, and I'm really, really interested to see on what they're going to bring with those two. It should be just as dynamic as the CVO, but probably just less the parts. If you're a CVO fan, guys, this is a bike to have. Now, caveat, the other side to that, usually when you make a lot of new redesigns, something like this, you guys might want to wait a year. And I'm not telling you to wait because Harley does a lot of research, but just me personally, I would usually wait a year before I would even jump on something like that, especially for the price that they're bringing these bikes out at. The CVO is $50,000. I get it. It's probably worth it. But like I said, it's a complete new redesign. If you're one of those guys that say, I gotta have it, it's the one to have. Now, I'm gonna look at my phone because I'm gonna just reflect off the pictures that Harley's been producing for the last few days and week or so. And I just wanna go over a few things. Now, I'm gonna start with the Road Glide first because that's my favorite, man. Road Glide is definitely my favorite, but remember, I said I think they're gearing this bike towards the racing side of this bike. So let's start from the top and let's just work our way down to the bottom, and then I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like. Top to the bottom, and we can start off with the windshield, okay? The windshield looks like it's a little bit of a different shape. It still has, just from the picture, it does have screws to say that, hey, you can swap this thing out, but I can I'm looking at it pretty closely, and I don't think you're gonna need to. I think it's gonna be one of those pieces that they purposely designed so you don't need to go to the aftermarket to get that wind protection from your windshield. Not to say that, you know, Clockworks and all these other designers, Memphis Shades, won't be making one that might be even better, but Harley's probably really trying to step the game up to say, hey, you bought a CVO, I'm giving you everything you need. The next thing I noticed was the headlight, okay? This headlight looks like it's gonna be super wide and super bright, and it's also got the turn signals integrated inside. Now, when I see something like that, I believe that's for aerodynamics. It might not be much, but they put this bike in the wind tunnel. I'm 99% sure, and they tried to find any flaw with the front end of the bike. So one little thing is easily, and as small as a turn signal, will affect those cruising speeds, 85, 90 miles an hour. They saw in the wind tunnel that they said, you know what? Take it off the side and let's integrate it in. That also messed with the aftermarket. So now the aftermarket doesn't really have an upgrade like I have. The custom dynamics, how you're gonna do it when something's already built in? I'm sure they'll find a way. Let's move on down a bit. Now, before we get to the obvious, I'm gonna say something that a lot of guys are probably not paying attention to, and that's the front fender. This is a shorter, smaller front fender, and it almost looks like it comes from the ST model. It is one of the performance front fenders. Now, why would you do that? Okay, for the same reason. Aerodynamics and that sleeker look. A lot of guys ask for it, so they are going to give it to you. So let's go down to the suspension. Inverted forks. Guys, you got to understand, inverted forks are part of a racing suspension. Look at all your sport bikes out there. They're running inverted suspension. Look at the Indian. Inverted suspension. I'm not going to say that we're stealing from it. We just know that at this point, to get a good suspension that you can flip and ride that bike really hard, you're going to need inverted suspension. There's no way around it. Now, we can also go to the brake setup. You got more braking. I'm pretty sure this is a 6-piston setup with the floating rotors. I mean, what else do you need? Listen, if the bike was slow, you don't need big stopping power, but they're running big stopping power because they are guessing that you guys are gonna try and take these bikes to go a little bit faster. Now, that's it for the road glide, so let's switch on over to the street glide. So street glide, guys, let's start with the windshield. You can tell this bike has been put in a wind tunnel. They figured out where the flaws were, so they changed. First things first, that's one of the things all of us guys change out, is a windscreen. You need it. The street glide has been known for the buffeting. As soon as you're on the highway, you're getting a lot of shake. A lot of the times we would say that's for the front end, but at the same time, when you switch the windshield, you feel a little bit better. They also decided to integrate the turn signals, and it looks good to me. I mean, like I said, if you're putting something in a wind tunnel and you want to get every ounce of performance, sometimes you have to make big changes. This is a big change, and it's a game changer. The headlight, as usual, nice LED, bright, sits right in your face, is going to do what you need it to do, especially when you're coming down the highway late at night. Now, it looks like they're going to be running the same suspension, the same front fender, the same braking setup, and the same wheels. Remember, these are the wheels from 2023 and 2022 CVO. Guys, I'm going to act like I'm sitting on the bike. And I only have a small picture here because they really haven't shown much in the infotainment center. The first thing I noticed, it looked a bit bigger. Everything else behind there looked about the same. Maybe they changed the gas tank and put the filler back on top of the center console, but that's about all I can see. Now, I'm not 100%, but it kind of looks like it in this picture. Now, we got to go on to the engine, okay? Now, this is where I kind of got some questions here. If you made a 114, a 117, a 131 and a 135, why didn't you use any of these in this bike? Well, because you want some performance. You used a 121 sized engine with a VVT setup. That's going away from what Harley normally does. Remember, guys, we want to use less size to make more power. That's what the VVT setup is kind of made for. This is not something that's brand new, but it's brand new to Harley. They've already researched it years ago, and it's just something they're deciding to bring to the table now. Harley always stays ahead of the game. Trust me. Now, I would have said, hey, if this is a CVO and this is a clearly $20,000 more expensive than any of the other road glides or street glides you have, let's give them the 131. Let's give them the 135. Let's give them something premium. They didn't do it for a reason. I couldn't tell you what that reason is, but I can expect that this motor is going to be bigger in cylinder-wise. So if you guys do want to go out there with a big bore kit and put in a motor like that, you'll have no heating issues. That's just my guess. And on the backside of that, I've heard they're coming with a new cooling system. I can't see it from the pictures, but they said that the oil cooler is a little bit bigger. Oh, that was a mouthful. Now, let's keep on going further back. Just look at it, the saddlebags. That's the next biggest change that I can see on this bike because the seat looks the same, but the saddlebags are so much different now. They have this more of a, I want to call it a triangular shape, but they have a shape that looks like if you decide to put this bike on a racetrack or you're taking it in the mountains and you're leaning it, you're going to have the confidence that you won't scrape your saddlebag. You might scrape a floorboard, but even though they look a little bit higher, you're not going to scrape that saddlebag. Now, that's all I have from just the strict appearance of the bike. The motor that we can figure out is a little bit bigger, but the color change. Guys, Harley always comes out with 3 different colors in the CVO. We've seen 2. They leaked the picture before, and that was that orangish color. The picture here is the silver. We're not sure what that 3rd color is going to be, but I'm sure somebody out there knows what's going on. So guys, I can tell you this. Harley has really been looking at the performance side of their bikes, and they're building everything around performance, guys. So that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. If there's something I didn't touch on and you guys want to ask me the question, hit me on the Real Official Mac on Instagram. Leave your comments down in the comment section. I'll be sure to try and reach back out to you guys. But until the next time, I appreciate you guys. Peace.